What has your attention currently?
Honestly, just separating, like,
Mm,
and moving on to the next chapter. So, like, the thing I don't want people to get the wrong message is the Air Force provides a lot, but
yeah.
specifically what I care about was just the benefits and maybe a little travel, and also just like, so when I came in, I always said I just wanted to get a stability, and you mentioned this too, like with stability I wanted to get stable enough to where I could just stop and see what I wanted to do. Like if you're
Yeah.
so busy on focusing on jobs and how I'm gonna pay my rent and get things done, you don't, you're focused on survival, not like elevating
Facts.
or getting better. So once I got in, I'm like, all right, I'm stable, what do I want to do? And I kind of already had a plan with that I planned out like before with people that I associate with and things like that. So the plan was to come in, get the do the 4 years, save all the money possible, and then go back in and go into the shoe business that my friend currently has, and that's going perfectly right now. We've already been talking about it. Like it was in the plan way before I decided to join.
Mm,
So a lot of people can't understand that, like when they see my views on like just the Air Force and how it runs, and not so much the people but the system. I always tell people like I'm getting out not because you did something to me or I have bad leadership. It's the overall system. It's the
yeah.
same. Like people are, oh,
Right.
it's different if you go here. You're in AATC. Go to a real base. It's the system.
It's the
It's not.
same everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
So getting out of this system and just excited to get into one where we don't do anything based on red tape and government
Mm,
AFIs made by politicians that don't even serve and things like that. Just going to what can get the job done most efficiently and achieve our goals and have the best life we can, since we only get to do it once. So it's
yeah.
just like just excitement to get out. And it's actually bad because like you don't want to, like I had read, like you don't want to always set it up to where your happiness is just the next thing, the next journey,
Mm,
the next part of your life.
yeah.
And I'm not trying to do that, but I do it just by thinking and having to deal with what I deal with every day, and it just causes me to want to just get out faster. But I'm also like, try your best to absorb what, because I won't have this chance again, but try your best to absorb while you can this
Yeah.
part of your life and not just be rushing to get to the second part or to the next parts of your life type thing.
You
But
said something there, especially as it relates to the next thing, and like, all right, well, I'm uncomfortable where I'm at, so if I leave here, the next place will be better. I learned that very quickly when I went to Alaska. That yeah, the Pentagon wasn't so bad. Andrews, as fast paced as it is, it was not that bad. And then you go to Alaska and you know go go through their winters up there and their darkness and their foolishness and like yeah, I miss DC. And then you leave there. I went to Cannon and I'm like I miss not having troops at in Alaska. And I'm like yeah, I was in Alaska, but I didn't have troops to chase behind, and I didn't have to deal with these personalities. Like there's just so many people to deal with in a given squadron. But I didn't really miss Alaska. I just missed the differences. And
mm,
then I leave Canada and I come to Florida. I'm like it's there's always gonna be something that you're gonna miss, and always gonna be something imperfect where you currently are. One thing I learned, and I'm still learning during my transition, is what I truly value and how much it costs to maintain that. Because the issue with a lot of people transitioning from one environment to the next environment, trying to escape, like people are always in search of relief instead of fixing their problem. Like they just want the
exactly.
pain to stop. I'm like, well, what caused the pain? Like, fix what caused the pain. Don't just get relief. Don't take Tylenol. What caused that pain to be there? One thing I learned is that, especially with the prevalence of the term high value man, and like, how much money do I need to make to be a high value man? I, I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on how low can I get my expenses to where I don't need to have to work 20 hours, 40 hours, 60 hours, 80 hours to try to maintain a lifestyle that nobody cares about, because I know what makes me happy. You know what makes you happy. So, and I've always been amazed by like, at one point, I think you mentioned like your bills were like $106 or something, or $101.
Yeah, something like
And I'm
that.
like, he's happy with that. Like, and I felt guilty at one moment. I was trying, like, bro, you need to travel, you need to blow a bag a little bit. I'm like, if he's happy, let him be happy. Like some people are happy playing video games, and that's all they want to do. They don't want to do nothing else. They just want to sit in their basement and play video games. I think we're reaching a time where a lot of people have been, because of social media, they've been forced to go chase stuff. I'm like, I want to
Mm,
go to the Air Force because I want to live this lifestyle that they only saw on the internet. Then they get there and realized it's how we both know it exists. It's a system that you're entering, and it's slow moving, but it doesn't stop. And once you're in it, there's all this red tape you got to jump through, and all these rules that you got to abide by to enter, to get out. to transition, to move to different environments. It's out processing is one of the most horrible experiences. It's just it's one thing after another that a lot of people are unaware of.
Mhm.
So with me realizing, all right, I'm uncomfortable currently in the Air Force, I had to still realize a lot of it doesn't change because you go to the civilian world. It's just it's different. And so what I'm realizing is that all right, and a lot of my ambition has returned because I've changed environments. Like it's one thing to do YouTube as like a side hobby, or it's just something I do on the side. But it's another thing to be back out in the civilian world and kind of feel the pressure, feel the weight of the world. I'm still getting paid by the Air Force, but you start seeing those gas prices. I'm like, it kind of reminds you of, yeah, okay, this is the real world. This is the real pressures of the real world. And of course, people like us, it drives us because our minds start clicking. I'm like, yeah, this is the energy I was missing. But I'm also now it's different because I'm near the ocean. I'm living where I want to live. I'm in environments that I want to be in, and I have more control, which means if I fail at something, it's my fault. And having those reminders of, all right, I changed environments because I made a choice, but now I'm in a place where I have more control, which means if I fail, it's my fault. And now my actions, I feel more grounded in my decision making now, mainly because I can't blame, the Air Force, and the Air Force made me do it, and the system I'm in, I can't do that, and I'm not allowed to. Well, now you're back doing what you want to do, where you want to do it, when you want to do it. Don't fail, because if you fail, it's your fault, and you can't blame anyone else. You also mentioned the inefficiency of the Air Force, or the ineffectiveness at times. So, during my skill bridge when I'm working with this gym, and it's something it reminded me of you with Sneaker Ace, as it relates to the marketing and like the branding and like the help building of a business. He put me in charge of growing membership because he saw I was on YouTube, I was doing podcasts. He was like, "You seem to understand social media a little bit better than I do," and it's nothing different than Gary Vee's been preaching for years. But now he's giving me opportunity to practice all my theories that I've learned from Gary Vee.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, it was the best feeling in the world, the best feeling in the world when I would bring him an idea using social media, like just basic ideas of he wanted to get a poll of his membership of especially as relates to people that haven't showed up in 6 months to the gym, but they're still paying for it. He like he wants to know why and what caused them not to show up anymore. Is there anything they're unhappy with? I'm like, how do we get this information? I'm like, you have 1,100 people following you on Instagram. Post a poll and ask a question. Ask them, what don't you like about the gym? What can we do better? You can get the information today. He was talking about grabbing paper and sending out surveys, sending out emails, calling people. I'm like, people don't answer their phones.
Exactly.
Don't call nobody asking them about a quick survey. Text them, or put it on social media where they're already looking while they're driving through traffic. They will stare at their phone, endangering the lives of thousands of people just to see the next post. That's where their eyes are at. So when you mentioned, the inefficiency of the bureaucracy that we're trapped in,
Mhm.
it reminded me of why I'm leaving and why I'm glad to go back to the civilian world because I'm telling you the freedom that I felt, and I'm sure you're experiencing this as well as with Singer Ace, is that the tools available to you are not limited. Like you're not just all right. Take that piece of paper and that pencil and go figure out what everyone on base and everyone around the world on different Air Force bases, what their favorite color is. I'm like, a piece of paper and a pencil is all you give me to figure all that out. You go to the civilian world and they say use any tool that you can get your hands on.
Facts.
It's just a different feeling. I feel more, and I hate this word, but empowered to complete a task based
Mhm.
off having way more resources available to me. It's a different environment, and it's something I missed about my ability to be effective. Is not limited to Air Force systems only. So it's definitely a real thing.
And I tell you, check out Alex. Are you familiar with Alex Hermosi?
Nah.
He's that's actually why I understood when you said nihilism. I
Yeah.
was watching his videos. Top dude is top. Like he really on his stuff.
Say less.
Definitely deep dive into he's specific for gyms, but he's switched and now he runs acquisition.com.
Okay.
Deep dive all his videos, watch his iced coffee hour interview. Dude
Mm.
is really good. But also too, you said earlier about the bill thing. I wasn't happy. I always say I'm big on permanent solutions. So
Mm.
I'm not looking my whole life like you said you want to lower your expenses. I want to do that as well, but I want a certain lifestyle, so I know it requires a certain amount of money. It wasn't that I was happy having that amount of bills. I just understood, and you have told me this with the Air Force is an artificial environment. So I know when
Mm.
I go back out in the civilian world, it's real bills, it's real things. You're not getting
Yeah.
your rent paid for, things like that. So I've been preparing for that since day one. So it was more about a permanent solution to I need to go out and make as much money as I can to completely eliminate all the problems that having money solves,
Yeah.
and then I can just focus on what I want to be. But I definitely wasn't happy with doing it, but I'm very good at doing what I hate just because it'll get the result I want.